It's strange how love sometimes begins with a mess. Not a poetic, movie-like coincidence, but a full-blown disaster. That's exactly how I met Claire, by destroying something she loved more than anything. I had just moved into my new apartment in an old building downtown. The kind with creaky floors and faded paint that made you wonder how many stories its walls had heard. I was tired of everything. My old job, my small town, my predictable life. This place was supposed to be my reset button. I wanted peace, silence, solitude. Then, on my second morning there, everything went wrong. I was coming up the stairs with 2 paper bags full of groceries, trying to juggle my phone, keys, and coffee at the same time. The hallway light flickered like it always did, and I noticed that the door across from mine was slightly open. Inside I heard soft humming. I thought someone might be in trouble, so I called out, "Hello." I nudged the door open just a little, and that's when it happened. My shoulder hit something tall and fragile. The crash echoed through the hallway like a gunshot. When I looked down, my heart sank. A beautiful hand-painted vase, shattered across the floor like fallen stars. "Oh my God!" a voice shouted. I turned to see her. She rushed over barefoot, her hair tied in a messy bun, eyes wide in disbelief. "What did you just do?" I'm so sorry," I stammered. "I didn't mean to." "You broke it," she said, dropping to her knees. "That vase was my grandmother's. She painted it herself." I froze, guilt flooding my chest. "I'll pay for it," I said quickly. She shot me a look that could kill. "You can't buy memories," she said softly. That's how I met my neighbor, Claire Summers. I tried to help her pick up the pieces, but she waved me off, muttering under her breath about reckless strangers. I spent the rest of the day feeling like a complete idiot. Later that evening, I left a note at her door, along with a small bouquet of flowers and the most heartfelt apology I could write. The next morning there was a knock on my door. Claire stood there, holding my note and a mug of coffee. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "But thanks." "Peace offering accepted?" asked hopefully. She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Maybe." From that day on, we started running into each other a lot. In the hallway, the elevator, the corner cafe. We'd exchange awkward smiles, then actual words, and eventually, conversations. I learned she was an artist, painting abstract landscapes she sold online. She learned I worked in marketing. She called it a polite way of saying professional liar. I laughed. It was the first time in a long time someone had made me laugh that hard. A week later, she knocked on my door again, holding a cardboard box. "I have an idea," she said. "I'm making a project, turning broken things into art. Thought we could use the pieces of the vase." "You kept them?" I asked. "Of course," she said. "You don't throw away something that still has a story left in it." That line stuck with me. We spent hours at her kitchen table, arranging shards of porcelain, trying to make sense of the chaos. She worked with such focus and grace. The way she talked about colors, light, and meaning made me see the world differently. I wasn't helping much, mostly handing her tools and listening, but being near her felt like something new, something right. We talked for hours. About her grandmother. About my past relationships. About what scared us most. One night, as we cleaned up, our hands brushed. It was brief, accidental, but it felt electric. She looked at me, then smiled shyly. "You're not as clumsy as I thought." "Give it time," I said. "I'll prove you wrong." She laughed, and for the first time, the air between us felt lighter. Days turned into weeks. We started having dinner together, watching old movies, sharing music. It was quiet, real, unhurried. The kind of connection that doesn't demand attention but grows like roots under the surface. One night, I walked her home after an art show. The city lights painted her face gold. She turned to me and said, "You know what's funny? If you hadn't broken that vase, we never would have met." Smiled. "Guess I should start breaking more stuff." She laughed. "Don't you dare." I kissed her that night. Soft, uncertain, but it felt like the beginning of everything. We were inseparable after that. She started painting more, inspired again. I found myself staying up late just to listen to her talk about her dreams. Felt like home until the phone call. It was a Friday evening. Claire had gone to a gallery event. I was at home finishing work. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Is this Daniel Brooks?" a man's voice asked. "Yes. This is Dr. Myers from St. Vincent Hospital. Claire Summers has been in an accident." My heart stopped. The drive there was a blur of red lights and fear. When I found her, she was in a wheelchair, her leg in a brace, her face pale but smiling weakly. "I'm okay," she said. A taxi ran a red light. Just a fracture. Could have collapsed from relief. For the next few weeks I took care of her. Cooked, cleaned, kept her company. We got closer. But during that time I noticed something odd. She was getting letters. Plain white envelopes, no return address. She'd always open them alone, her face tightening afterward. When I asked, she said, "Just old family stuff." I let it go at first. But one day, curiosity got the better of me. I found one left on her desk. Inside, a single sentence. "You can't hide forever. He'll find out." My stomach turned cold. That night, I confronted her. "Claire, who's sending you these?" She sighed, looked away and whispered, "It's from my ex-fiancé, Evan. He told me everything." Years ago, she'd been engaged to a man who was charming at first but controlling, manipulative. When she left him, he wouldn't let go. Followed her, wrote letters, even showed up at her work. She moved to a new city to get away from him. And now, somehow, he'd found her again. I felt anger burn inside me. "You should have told me," I said. "I didn't want to scare you away," she whispered. "And I didn't want to give him power again." I promised her I wouldn't let anyone hurt her. We went to the police, filed a report. For a while things were quiet. Until one night. We came home to find her door open. On the table stood a vase, identical to the one I'd broken, with a note inside. "I fixed what you ruined." Claire froze. I could see her shaking. We called the police again, but there were no fingerprints, no leads. Weeks went by, and nothing happened. Slowly, life began to return to normal. Or at least, it pretended to. Then one afternoon, Claire didn't come home. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I called everyone, checked everywhere. Hours later, a call came from the police. They'd found her at a train station, frightened but unharmed. Evan had shown up, tried to convince her to leave with him. Security intervened before things got worse. That night, Claire decided to leave town for a while to stay with family. Before she left, she gave me something. A small mosaic heart made from the shards of her grandmother's vase. "You helped me make this," she said, "to remind me that broken things can still be beautiful." I watched her leave, not knowing if I'd ever see her again. Weeks passed. We talked sometimes, just short calls and messages. She said she was healing, painting again. Then one day she called. "I think I'm ready to come back." When she returned, she looked stronger, braver. We picked up where we left off. We moved in together, laughed again, dreamed again. Life felt right. A year later, on the anniversary of the vase incident, I came home with flowers. She was setting the table, candles flickering. "You always remember," she said. "How could I forget?" Smiled. Then her phone buzzed. She looked down and went pale. "It's him," she whispered. Before I could react, there was a knock at the door. 3 slow, heavy knocks. I opened it, but no one was there. Just a box. Inside, a note. "You can't fix everything, Daniel." Beneath it, a single shard of glass. We went to the police again, but there was nothing to trace. That night, Claire cried in my arms. "Maybe," she said softly, "some things are meant to stay broken." I kissed her forehead. "Or maybe," I said, "some things are worth fixing again and again." Years have passed since then. We moved to a new place, built a new life. Sometimes when the light hits just right, the mosaic heart she made glows on our living room wall, cracks and all. People always ask about it, and I tell them the same thing. "That's how we met." They laugh, thinking it's just a story about a broken vase. But to me, it's a story about fate, chaos, and how love sometimes begins exactly where everything else falls apart.